Welcome to the Journey to Wellness podcast, sponsored by the Essential Wellness Society and Healing Wheel Holistic. I'm Melissa Stonehill-Kyam, and I will be your host. With over 40 years' experience in the health and fitness industry, I am ready to dive in to some of the most conflicting topics we have regards to health today. Let's go. Welcome back to the Journey to Wellness podcast. Today I'm sitting with my favorite superheroes and friends, Charles and Brisa of Colorado Springs Hypnosis. And I say superheroes because I love this team here, this husband and wife team out there, slaying the subconscious mind together.
Well, thank you so much.
That's the way I see it. I've had the pleasure to work with this couple in many ways and on several retreats internationally. We've been in Costa Rica together. We're going to Hawaii together. We've worked in festivals together, local retreats together. I've experienced feedback one-on-one from people that have had the pleasure to work with them, and they both do very unique modalities as well. They have their own styles. And then I had the experience in a group session in Costa Rica, as well as gotten feedback from people who told me that they were impossible to hypnotize, and then said, when I did the survey after the retreat, what was your best takeaway? What could we improve upon? All that stuff that I ask. And one person wrote, being in the hypnotherapy session with Charles and Brisa, I always prided myself and I'm not one of these people who can be hypnotized. And the next thing I noticed is that Charles was telling me to come back. And the person said, and lo and behold, I realized I was hypnotized. And I was really grateful for hearing that feedback. But then I asked, well, what does that mean to you? What was your experience? How did you know? And the feedback was I just came through very relaxed in my body. And this was feedback from somebody who is a superior athlete. So for someone who is an athlete, that I felt so relaxed in my body is a really good takeaway.
Right.
So without further ado, I want these guys to introduce themselves, because I think that they can explain a lot more of what they do than I can.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Melissa, for boosting us up right from the beginning. So my name is Charles. I am a hypnotist here in Colorado Springs.
And my name is Brisa, and I'm also the hypnotist here in Colorado Springs.
Yep. And we own Colorado Springs Hypnosis.
Yeah.
And we've been working with people for several years to help them make shifts in their habits. And I initially started out doing mostly smoking cessation, but now we help people kind of make a lot of different changes in their lives.
Well, I think smoking cessation is absolutely a very intense place to start out, because you're talking about addiction. And I have heard from people that have quit smoking that it's a super hard addiction to kick, because it's all around, it's legal, you can get it anywhere. So it's almost like, I'm going to parallel that with alcoholism in many ways, although smoking kills, alcoholism kills, as two chemicals that are really hard to let go of. So I think that's amazing that you just dove in the deep end over there. Nothing light, right? Nothing like just like boom. How did that work for you?
It worked out really well. I was very fortunate to find some really good mentors, and I fell into a program of smoking cessation that's a really it's a really solid program. So it's been really good. And I have just because of smoking, I get a lot of people that call and ask about other addictions and things like that, and I do work with those as well. But it is a little bit different, because a lot of times with other addictions, there tends to be a lot of negative emotions and things like that that can be wrapped around with them. Whereas smoking's kind of weird, because it kind of attaches itself to anybody who's caught in the crossfire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like rich people, poor people, people that are, generally happy or sad. Like I get a lot of, I get a lot of Reiki practitioners and nurses and things like
Really?
that. People you'd think that wouldn't smoke.
Right.
And they're like, this is just some stupid thing I picked up as a kid, and yeah, I need to get rid of it.
You know what? I kind of equate it to fidgeting. I've caught myself fidgeting, and that not nail biting, but just like I'll fidget with my nails, not bite them, but all around, or I'll fidget with things when I'm apprehensive, nervous. I certain times on airplanes I'm fidgety, and so I feel like some people pick up a cigarette for that fidgety type of thing.
But it's a very strong and powerful habit as well. It's something that you're doing multiple times throughout the day, and you end up thinking, okay, well, this is just something that I do. So, yeah, it is pretty strong. But,
yeah,
and
it attaches itself to all these different things that we do as well.
But that's when hypnosis kind of comes in. It helps the subconscious mind understand that this habit or this strong thing that you're doing is not serving you, because at some point it helped you and now it's not helping you anymore. So that's kind of what we do with hypnosis, is rewriting the program to something that's going to help you, empower you, or serve you in a better way.
I really like the way you put that. Just reminds me of a concept that I studied, where you can't create the new you with the same toolbox of the old you. Like there's certain things to let go of, and they're not always negative either. But there can be plenty of things that you do that don't serve you anymore, and they weren't bad things either. But they you become routine with it, and it's lost its meaning, and time to re-script it. But it could be even the most beautiful thing that needs re-scripting. Like for instance, for many, many, many years, I used to pray daily. I still do. But for many, many years, I used to say the same thing. And it became lip service to where I could be washing the dishes and saying the prayer. And I was no longer in the prayer. It was just off my lips.
Right.
And then I caught myself. And I said, whoa, because I've got kids. I can't, what kind of role model am I being if I'm not sitting in with this? And it's now just this lip service. That's what I'm saying. It was a good habit, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't serving me.
Right.
It became a habit.
Right. You lost the mindfulness, the the meaning of it. Right.
Right. So I like how you framed that, because people a lot of times think of hypnotherapy or hypnosis of some sort to stop something that's not good for them. But when you said it, rewriting the script.
Right.
So what can you, now I'm going to ask a lot of questions, but hypnosis seems to have many different layers. What is the difference between a meditative state and a hypnotic state?
Okay, so I actually really like this question, because when I talk to my clients, I tell them and I'm explaining to them that they're really kind of the same state. That trance that you go into is very similar, if not the same, as that deep meditative state that people go into when they meditate. Right? The big difference is when people are meditating, they have a practice, and so they're conditioning themselves to be able to go to this state of mind kind of when they want to. Whereas, when people come see us, a lot of the times they're not always super spiritual people. They may not meditate or go into prayer or anything like that. So, but they need this state of mind to help them make those changes, right?
So are you saying, like, for instance, on the brainwave activity, is the brainwave activity of hypnosis similar to the brainwave activity of meditation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Meditation, hypnosis, even sleep, daydreaming. We're all dropping down into like delta and theta brainwave levels.
Wow.
It, kind of depending on how deep you go into it.
You know, it's crazy because I remember in school, I was such a daydreamer, and the teacher would always like snap out of it, right? And I was thinking like how good it is for kids to daydream, like how clearing it is for the brain, and good things happen when you daydream, right? And then we are, as adults, we grew up like, no, you're not supposed to do that. And then we had spent all this time trying to learn how to do it again.
Yep. Yeah, and that's where a lot of great ideas come as well. When you're daydreaming and certain things come up, oh, I could do that, or that could work, and that's a lot of your subconscious as well talking to you.
So I've been in different states of hypnosis.
Yeah.
Ones where my session was recorded and it was played back to me, and it blew my mind because I didn't remember any of it. I didn't remember responding like I did. I didn't recall any of it. Like I wasn't aware in the moment. And then I've been in hypnosis where I'm kind of here and kind of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that's, see, you're kind of one of the fortunate people that's been able to probably experience hypnosis with a few different people and a few different times and things like that. But yeah, just, you know, everybody's experience is going to be different, but really every hypnotic experience you have will probably be a little bit different as well.
Yeah, every time you go into hypnosis, it's going to be a different experience.
Yeah, and it could also depend on the day and how you're feeling. You know, if it's a day where you're a little more anxious, maybe you'll have a harder time, you know, getting into that depth. Whereas, or if it's a day where you are feeling more relaxed, or maybe you went and saw a hypnotist after you worked all day and you're beat, right? And then you just sit down and put on the headphones and tune into the music. Like it can really help you relax into it.
So one of my first experience was I had a visual of something unpleasant. And it was around my father's death, and I was there when he was dying. And so in my mind, every time I closed my eyes, I was just replaying the last minutes of his life, and I didn't want to. I wanted to remember the animated moments of his life and the fun that we had together and all the good stuff. So I went to my friend Jillian, who you guys both know, and all I wanted was to close my eyes and stop seeing that. That was all I wanted from the experience. And I can't tell you how helpful it was, because it took away that, it kind of refiled the memories.
Yes.
Like I can pick the memory out anytime I want, but it didn't have front stage center anymore.
Yep.
And when I experienced that as a way to kind of put things, reorder them, I realized that this is a really powerful tool of the mind to be able to reorder things. So there was that, and then you have an amazing talent where you work with people with fear of driving, and when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, how many people out there have been in a car accident, or whether they were a passenger or driver or whatever, and then you know, white knuckle it,
right,
without knowing, like their body just goes into white knuckle.
Yeah, so, and it's very similar to what you were talking about with the impression that you had the last moments of your father. The subconscious mind was impressed. So that's kind of what happens. We get impressed, we get like a shock to the nervous system. And that's some of the techniques, right? You go into doing some techniques, mental exercises, hypnosis, and you start to rearrange that. It's the same when you go into a car accident or you hear about somebody having a car accident. And I knew a friend that she heard her mom say she had a really horrible accident, and because of those reasons she didn't drive. And I asked her, were you in the car with her? And she said, no. I was not even born yet.
She was just so, oh wow, so
Yeah.
there's empathy.
Secondhand fear.
The empathy, yeah.
Right, it's that shock of not really knowing and saying, well, I'm just going to protect myself because I'm safe over here.
There's a lot of secondhand fear.
Yeah.
You know, that's an amazing topic. Be a great title for a book. You know, there's
Yeah.
so much generational trauma that we pass down, and we put those things on our kids too.
Yeah.
Fear of a lot of things.
Well, and a lot of phobias that we end up working with. You know, a lot of times people have something happen as a kid. You know, a mouse falls on them and they're afraid of mice or whatever. But a lot of the times, there was never really an incident. Just maybe their mom or their dad was really worried about something, and they just kind of like adopted that fear because that's what they learned.
Absolutely, you see it all the time. Especially, you know, the parents are afraid of dogs, the kids are afraid of dogs. Flying, sailing, jumping, heights, people that are afraid of people, public speaking.
Yep.
So today what we wanted to do was a little bit of a live workshop.
Yes.
Experimental with people that are going to listen to this video. Can go ahead and follow along with what you have prepared and kind of do a mini session at home. Do you want to talk about what that's going to look like and what kind of setting people have, as well as your disclaimers?
Yeah. So let's start with a disclaimer.
Okay.
All right, and we'll probably kind of reiterate it, but the first thing is this is going to be hypnotic in nature. So if you are driving or operating machinery or something like that, maybe it might be best to either skip past this part or whatever. You know, that being said, if you are not doing any of those things, you know, feel free to get in a comfy chair, sit on the couch, you know, get somewhere where you can relax. And really kind of the theme that we're going to work on today is releasing a little bit of pain. So, you know, if you have soreness in your back or something in your knees or anything like that, you know, we've already talked about, you know, what we're going to work with Melissa, but we're also going to make it broad so anybody can use it for whatever is annoying you right now.
Yes.
So I'll give you a couple of quick things about hypnosis. I'm not going to do a full explanation, but the biggest thing is it's all about consent, right? Like, you have to want to do this in order for it to work. So if you're feeling uncomfortable with it or something like that, maybe just listen to it through, and once you realize that it's no big deal, then you can come back and try it again. But yeah, the big thing is if you want to do this and you're feeling good about it, then it's going to be really easy. If you're apprehensive or having a difficult time, it could be a little more difficult. The other thing is, wherever you are out there, if there is an emergency of some sort, like a fire alarm or, you know, something going on with your kids or anything like that, if that happens, you'll instantly be able to come out of trance and go deal with that. All right, but outside of any emergencies, nothing's, you know, really going to bother you. If you hear, you know, sirens going by or your fridge kicking on, all that stuff will just remind you that you're doing exactly what you want to do. So, I don't know. Am I missing anything? Bring in.
That was pretty good.
Sounds
Good.
good. All right.
I think I'm ready.
All right. So, all right. First thing I want everyone to do is just sit back and get relaxed. Whether you're lying back on your bed or on your couch or sitting in a chair or something like that is totally fine, as long as you're relaxed. And in fact, if you're a meditator, if you want to take up a full or half lotus, that's totally cool too. But yeah, so let's just start with taking a nice deep breath and closing the eyes. And as you close the eyes, I just want you to start to become present within your own body. I just want you to notice the things that you're feeling and experiencing right now. If you do have any discomfort, whether it's in your back or legs or neck or whatever, just go ahead and pay attention to the fact that it's there and just note how much you're experiencing it right now. Now, the next thing I'd like you to do is just go ahead and set the intention. Set the intention to turn these signals down. Whatever it is you're feeling, go ahead and make a promise to your body that you're going to take care of it and ask it to just lower these signals. And now I'm going to have all of you open your eyes. I'd like you to open your eyes, and I'd like you to stare at a high spot in the room, perhaps where the ceiling and the wall connect or something like that. Go ahead and stare at this point. If you find maybe a scratch or a mark or a shadow on the wall, and go ahead and focus on that point wherever it is for you. As you focus on this point, you may notice that your vision may start to get blurry, or maybe it might even start to sharpen. Either way is fine. But as you concentrate on this point, I'd like you again to take a nice deep breath and then close the eyes and continue to watch this point in your mind. And as you watch this point in your mind, I'd like you to bring this point closer and closer and closer. Let it float from that wall, wherever it was. Let it drift and float about halfway between your eyes and the wall now. And just focus on that point that's just in the middle of space. And as you focus on this space now and this point of intention, go ahead and bring it all the way back now. Bring it all the way back so it comes right between the eyes. Let this point of focus come all the way to the center of the mind. That's right. And as you bring this point of focus to the center of your mind, I'd like you to just take a moment to let every breath be a sigh of relief, letting you relax even more and even more. And I'd like you to think about a place that brings you absolute peace. Maybe it's a place you've been to before, a place you'd like to go. Just start to drift and float all the way to that place in 5. Drifting and floating as you drift deeper and deeper. 4. Really taking some time to relax as you let go of that which no longer serves you. 3. Making your way all the way down to this perfect place. 2. As you drift deeper and deeper into this wonderful feeling. And 1. Really take a moment to be in this perfect place now. And as you're in this perfect place, go ahead and notice the sounds that make it perfect for you. Go ahead and notice the sights that make it peaceful and calming to you. And of course, notice the feeling of this perfect place. And as you're in this perfect place, I'd like you to go ahead and bring your attention back to that discomfort now, wherever it is. And as you focus on that discomfort, I'd like you to imagine that we have a little rolling switch, maybe like a volume switch on a radio. I'd like you to take a moment to just turn that switch up 1 or 2 notches and just notice the intensity of that discomfort. Get a little bit higher. That's right. And I promise you the intention is not to torture you. Once you've felt it, go ahead and turn it back down 1 or 2 notches and let it go back to the way it was. What you may notice is that you just controlled your discomfort a little bit. So let's take that volume switch and turn it down, down, down. Just keep turning it down, down, down. Let that discomfort get lighter and lighter, quieter and quieter, dimmer and dimmer. Let the pulsating become less and less, fewer and fewer, farther and farther between. Go ahead and turn it all the way down now. And then as you relax, you let that discomfort dissipate and become as small and as tiny and as unnoticeable as humanly possible. Go ahead and bring your awareness back to this perfect place. And now, I'd like you to go ahead and turn the volume switch up. Go ahead and let the sounds of this perfect place get louder and louder. Let the view get brighter and brighter and brighter. And go ahead and let the feelings become more and more comfortable, more and more wonderful as you turn that volume switch up, up, up. Just really embody and engulf and take in everything that is wonderful about this place now. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5, and when I do, you can come back to the here and now, and you can bring all these wonderful feelings and emotions and comfort with you. 1, go ahead and take in a nice deep breath. 2, let that oxygen revitalize every muscle, nerve, and fiber in your body. 3, start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. And 4, start to wake up feeling better and better, more and more comfortable. 5, opening the eyes. Absolutely amazing. And so go ahead and take a moment now to just notice how much more comfort you're experiencing. How much comfort are you guys experiencing?
Well, so for me, what it did was actually pinpointed where in my shoulder it hurt.
Oh, okay.
Like it.
You're able to like zero in on
Yeah,
it.
I know exactly where it is.
Oh, cool.
You know, I was hurts. And it was interesting though, because as I was zeroing in on the shoulder hurting, there was like certain people that came into my mind. So I was like, oh, I wonder if I'm feeling burdened, you know?
Potentially.
Yeah. And one of the things I thought about is so often we wake up and we just move through the day.
Yeah.
Well, it could be aches, pains, mental, physical, whatever. But even if we were to take the moment, take a time to do a little self-hypnosis and a little bit of body scan inventory and breathe into some spots,
Yeah.
that would be beneficial.
Certainly. Well, and there's
Right.
like there's a lot of healing techniques that we use with people, and they are very similar to Reiki techniques. You know, we have people bring in white healing light, and you know, bring into specific chakras and things like that. And we have them, you know, visualize bringing healing energy in and things like that. And you know, I've been to a Reiki 1-2 class, but I liked a lot of those visualizations and things. And so we've brought into our practice. We have people kind of doing it to themselves a lot of the times.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's super interesting, and you have a good voice. It's nice. And I
thanks.
was able to, like, I heard you, but I wasn't only hearing you. Like you were just background noise, kind of.
Yeah, kind of like elevator music.
Yeah. But then I was like, why is he telling me to turn this up when I want to turn it down, you know, my brain? And then I thought, well, I don't have to turn it up. I could turn it down instead if I'm aware of it, right?
Sure.
But that was interesting. I hope that you guys had a good experience too. I think it's good to write it down. It takes practice. You have to want to go.
Sure, you do.
Right. Yeah.
And on that whole turning it up, the reason for that piece is some people, if you just start telling them to turn their pain down, they don't believe they can do it, right? But if you have them turn it up, that's something most people can do, and then you have them turn it down again, and then that's when you can point, hey, look, you just did this.
Well, I use hypnosis. After I've had 5 knee surgeries, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah, they're all sports-related injuries, and the 5th one was about 4 years ago. And I don't do well with pain drugs. Like they don't make me feel good, and then I'm feeling like, would I rather have the pain or do I want to be nauseous like this? So when I had this last one, I put ice on it. It was really post-op, and I put on a self-hypnosis thing on YouTube, and I was doing breath work and hypnotherapy to get through the pain until I fell asleep. You know, 'cause I wanted to sleep through it.
Yeah.
And then I've also used it to sleep. If there's a lot on my mind and I can't shut down the chatter in my brain.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever do work with people who have insomnia?
Yeah, I worked with many people that have had insomnia, and we kind of talk about, you know, it's different for everybody. And when you come and have a one-on-one, we end up discovering a little bit more rooted issues of what's really happening. And for everybody, it's different. Discovering that, it's pretty much helping them kind of, oh, I didn't know I was doing that. I didn't know that's what was happening.
Yeah, I thought it was such a useful tool, and that's why now when somebody will say, well, I just can't sleep, and, you know, well, why? Well, because I have too much I'm thinking about. Well, it's all going to be there tomorrow. You could think about it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You'd probably do better with it if you got some sleep. But I don't know how. We even have heard that so much that we were thinking of doing a sleep retreat
Okay.
where we just get like the best cushiony beds and the best temperature. And I know that sounds funny, but there's so many people
they
who
need it.
can't
Yeah.
sleep.
Mm-hmm.
They can't shut it down. And thinking about like different techniques, it would be really great to do that with you guys, you know, working on different techniques of how you switch over from the sympathetic nervous system into the parasympathetic,
Mm-hmm.
you know, through, we call it sleep hygiene. It's almost like stepping into this bubble that you create for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it's also like what you're talking about with the nice beds and the pillows. That is important. It's having like a night routine and making sure that your bed is only for sleep and nothing else. But yeah, talking about different techniques, we teach our clients different techniques. You may have similar problems that some of our clients have, but talking to you more deeply, we can pinpoint, oh, you would do well with this technique, or you know, self-hypnosis works across the board, along with other things that we can teach you.
Yeah, and it's interesting, the visuals. And when my kids were growing up, like before, you guys got to make your bed before you leave your room in the morning. Well, why? We're just going to go back and sleep in it. You know, kids are always like that, and people are like that too. And I think, well, is that inviting though? Is that inviting to you? Like you want to go sleep in that messy bed?
Yeah.
Or I would never let my kids eat in bed unless they were sick. Because like, no, that's not what it's about. We don't even have a TV in our bedroom because we just feel like the blue light would be really detrimental to our sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So we went with salt lamps, and we
Yeah,
have
those are good.
just different rhythms and beats that we listen to, and because it is hard to sleep if you have a lot on your mind.
Yes.
So that's probably a really big area that you guys deal with. So tell
Yeah.
people how they can work with you and what you have coming up and all the things that you're planning, and conferences, conventions, new techniques. What are y'all doing?
Well, the way that people can get a hold of us, they can go to our website, coloradospringshypnosis.com, and we do 30-minute free consultations. There's something that, you know, they kind of want to know before coming to see us. We offer that. We do have some classes coming up. So
Yeah, so one of the classes that we have is it's like
peace of mind,
yeah,
coming
peace of
up,
mind.
kind of letting people be in a state of peacefulness.
Yep. And that'll be here at the Treehouse
Nice.
during Holistic Health Week.
Great.
And so yeah, that's just going to be a big kind of like group stress release hypnosis session. We also have a financial class that we're doing. We haven't got all the details knocked out yet, but it's going to be the 10th of October
And the 2nd of November.
So, you know, if you want to do it on a weekday or if you want to come on
And
the
what
weekend.
is that financial class look like? What's the purpose and outcome possibility?
So we're actually teaming up with our financial advisor, Andre, and he teaches a class on some good like saving techniques and a few different like ways that you can invest. And he also talks a little bit about life insurance and things like that. And then we're going to come around on the back end and do like a manifesting money, but also incorporating like good saving
Really nice.
stuff to
Yeah,
help
kind of
people get better
releasing-
with money.
Yeah, releasing blogs about
Right.
money. So our intention is kind of give people that are interested in finance, and also, hey, let's remove some of those blocks so you can get going on
Right.
your financial life.
Have you guys ever worked with OCD?
Yeah, I've worked with a few people that had it. It's kind of an interesting thing to work with. Like I obviously can't like cure OCD, but what I do is I help people work with some of the anxious feelings and things like that. They can make them want to OCD, you know, more.
Well, it's a real thing,
Yeah.
and it seems that when people are in the loop, you know, they fixate. Like there's something that they can't
Yeah.
move past. They're like on it, and it's just like the replay, and not like, okay, man, I got to get off this train, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is, I bring it up because it's come into my sphere a lot lately. A lot of it is, okay, if I get off this train, where am I going? Then what? Right? And we don't have a toolbox. Because what everybody does with people with obsessive compulsive disorder is medicates them.
Yeah.
You need this drug. You need this drug. And it's the OCD that leads to the addictions, gambling, money spending, or workaholics, or I'm talking about like on the larger scale of how it totally starts to grab your life. Then you stop to have the ability to solve problems gently and intellectually because you're in the loop. So you may come up with the solution, but then you go back to the problem again.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, and that's why you know, it's a good one that you bring up, because there are certain people that need like more of a kind of like a support system, right? They're coming to us and we're teaching them these techniques and doing these things and helping them solve problems within their mind. They also are going to need something that they're going to be doing, or you know, within themselves. And that's why we're partnering up with a nutritionist who's going to be helping us kind of pair up with a group of people that need some more extra help, like weight management. And we're going to be doing a class with that coming up on an open house, so people can kind of ask us questions. But yeah, it's kind of like they need that support. So we came up with this class where it's a 3-week class. So they have that support, they have that team, they have the nutrition part, they have us teaching them those techniques and how to hone in their healthy lifestyle. So it kind of does pair up with needing that support.
Right. So that's mindset. You know, the whole mindset thing of getting people, coaching them into adopting new habits. Like you said in the beginning, reprogramming, reordering, refiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about our free will, right? That's kind of like our conscious mind. That's what we decide to do, right? I can either smoke the cigarette or not. At the end of the day, I'm going to make a choice, whatever that choice is, right? Our unconscious mind, though, is that guy in the background that's kind of like nudging you, or I like to talk about it kind of like a horse and a carriage, right? The free will is the horse, right? The horse can take you wherever it wants. It can run right off a cliff if it wants to, right? But it's got this guy behind that's kind of pulling the horse in a certain direction. Most of the time, if the horse really isn't paying too much attention, it's just going to go wherever that guy pulls him, right? And that's kind of like what we're doing when we're doing things mindlessly, is whatever thing our unconscious kind of throws our way, we just kind of act on it. Right. So really what hypnosis is an intervention where we're like, hey, let's talk to that guy up there and tell him, hey, we want to go somewhere else.
Yeah. I appreciate all this because mastering mindset is something that we work on a lot, and that's a focus of our retreats, is mastering the mindset. And whether the daily practices that we speak about, having one, and having flow in your life. So I like all the different areas that this can hit. And even if that little piece you just did, I don't even know how long that segment was because I really allowed myself to go into it.
Yeah.
But it's really a good refresher for the brain. And it's on the 5-finger breath break, where you're inhaling, exhaling, exhaling.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this, and I go through the 5-finger breath break as long as I need to take, and then, okay, reset, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can see people going into mastering some self-hypnosis, learning from you guys how to do it, and then doesn't matter who you are, where you are, you're getting ready to do a carpool, or you're going to work, or whatever it is, you're hopping on a plane, or you're hitting some turbulence. This is such such a valuable tool. So I really hope people work with you. Do you work with people online as well?
Yeah, we can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Most people in the Springs tend to want to come to the office, but occasionally we get people that are like, further out, and they might come do an in-person session, and then we might do Zoom afterwards, or maybe we'll just
Yeah.
do Zoom.
Well, I think this could work on Zoom no matter where they are in the world.
Well, yeah,
that you could work
Yeah.
with them.
Well, yeah, because
Right.
at the end of the day, like, all we're doing is guiding them through the process, right? So they're the ones actually doing the imagining and the visualizing and all the stuff. So they're the ones making it happen.
So we got your website.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have that in the notes underneath. Phone number, and on your website is all the things you're doing. The calendar of events, is that on your website?
We don't. What we can do is we'll give you the links for all of our
Yeah.
Facebook events that we're.
Okay,
Yeah.
so all the links will be in the notes underneath this video. And I wanted to thank you both for coming.
Yeah,
It was
thank you.
really
That was
good. It was
awesome.
good for me. I got a little bit of a hypnotherapy break, and I have no idea how long that segment was, but it felt really good. We are videoing today from the Treehouse Cafe. We love this place. We
That
are
was awesome.
so grateful that it exists, and it's owned by Sarah Grant. The Essential Wellness Society meets here, and all kinds of cool workshops going on here. And the menu's great. The coffee is fantastic. I encourage you to come in if you're in Colorado Springs. I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time.